Dan Dickau here for Gonzaga Nation SI on the Gonzaga Nation Media Network. Today, just a quick overview of some of the pre-draft projections for Gonzaga players that have put themselves and their name in the NBA hat. Obviously, we've talked about this on a number of occasions. Chet Holmgren was pretty much a foregone conclusion the second that he decided to go to Gonzaga, that he was only going to be there for 1 year. We've talked in depth about Drew Timme and the positives and opportunities there are for him to stay in the NBA draft, as well as the positives for him to come back to Gonzaga and withdraw his name from the NBA draft. I would imagine that is going to be a decision that many Gonzaga fans are going to be waiting patiently or maybe impatiently to hear what the decision is. But quite honestly, at this point in time, I don't see any news coming in the near future. I had a chance to talk to Coach Few over the weekend when I saw him. We touched on a few things, nothing in depth in regards to any of these guys. But I think people are going to have to be patient in waiting to hear what Drew Timme's news or thoughts are. And then you've got Julian Strother, who declared for the NBA draft, who I said, I think it's a great opportunity for him to get in front of NBA scouts, go through some workouts, see where he needs to improve in their eyes, see where his opportunities to really kind of focus on may be. But I do expect Julian Strother to be back with Gonzaga. And then Andrew Nemhart, unfortunately, if you were holding out hope that he was going to stick around and use his 5th year of college eligibility, that's not going to be the case, because he's now declared for the NBA draft 3 times. When you've done that, you've exhausted your eligibility. I do think Nemhart is going to create an opportunity for himself. Not sure if he's going to get drafted, but I think he's one of those guys that's talented enough, skilled enough, and from what I've seen, determined enough to be able to carve out an NBA career. But just wanted to quickly kind of go over 6 different pre-draft websites, mock drafts, and where they have guys. And I've said from the start, I didn't think Chet Holmgren is going to fall anywhere below 3. And in my personal opinion, I do think he's the number 1 pick in the draft. I do think that depending on who gets that first pick when the lottery occurs, which is in a week or so, it might solidify some things, because NBA rosters very rarely want to be redundant with kind of their feature, their core type of players. So if a team has a versatile, skilled 4 or 5, and Chet Holmgren is in the mix for a pick by that team, maybe you see a team move a guy. Maybe you see a trade getting picked. That is all in the realms of possibility, because there's so much unknown in the NBA. I think the other thing to really keep an eye out and think about is everyone here in the States is so focused on college players that you lose sight of just how many international guys have put their name in the draft, and how many of those guys are truly capable of being drafted. There's also the G League Ignite guys. There's 2 or 3 guys in particular that I would imagine are going to be picked in that first round for sure. Dyson Daniels being one, the other being actually a Washington product, Marjon Beauchamp. Looks like he's probably going to go around that 20 to late first round mark, in the first round as well. So there's lots of guys that the average fan doesn't know about, but trust me, the front offices have scoured it. They're searching, they're gathering intel and scouting reports on every single possible player that could be drafted. But that's a thing that may impact some Gonzaga players, like a Strother if he stays in the draft, Andrew Nemhart, or Drew Timme if he stays in the draft, is that second round. Do their representatives, their agent, if they stay in the draft, tell teams, don't draft him in the second round, we'd rather be a free agent? Because that happens many times. Sometimes it's better as a undrafted free agent rookie to be able to pick the team that you want to go to for summer league and try to carve out a camp invite, as opposed to being a second round pick that team has your rights. You're at the mercy of what's already on their roster. So there is a little bit of a cat and mouse game in that second round for guys. But the other thing is many organizations use that second round to take flyers on super young players that maybe declare for the draft and they're not ready in any way, shape, or form, but they're getting drafted on their potential, their opportunity to become a great player. And then many teams also kind of do the, hey, I'm going to take a young European guy, somebody that nobody's ever heard of. If he works, great. If not, no big deal. He's going to be happy playing in Europe in his home country or somewhere near his home country in those slots. But let's take a quick look at NBA Draft Net. This is the only one in the mock drafts, and this is a website kind of a panel that's been around for 20 plus years. So they're one of the originators in the mock draft. They are the only mock draft that I have found that has Chet Holmgren out of the top 3. Yes, that's right, the top 3. They've got him at number 4. They actually have Jaden Ivey of Purdue going at number 1. I think Jaden Ivey's a tremendous player. If I was a front office, I would not hesitate to draft him, but not at number 1. I don't think that's the pick. So that's an interesting take that they've got Jaden Ivey, Banchero, and Jabari Smith ahead of Chet Holmgren. Because I've said it, I don't see Chet Holmgren dropping below 3. Banchero and Smith have some definite strengths to their games that are of appeal. But it would be hard to go away from Chet Holmgren. Staying with NBA Draft.net, Julian Strother is not on their board as a first or second round pick. Neither is Andrew Nemhart, but Drew Timme comes in at number 59. So a late second round possibility, according to NBA Draft.net. Moving on to CBS Sports, Gary Parrish, one of the best insiders out there, a friend of mine, doesn't have Strother, Nemhart, or Timme being drafted at all in the second round, but he has Chet Holmgren as his number 1 pick in his latest mock draft. Moving on to The Ringer, which when I looked through their analysis, they had great write-ups on their first round projections. Some of the best and most in-depth write-ups that I've seen were done by Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer. So I think this is going to become one of the sites that I kind of go to really kind of dive in and read about some guys. Again, you got your unknowns, but he kind of seemed to really dive in and understand and know these unknowns fairly well. But again, the only Gonzaga Bulldog on their projected draft board would be Chet Holmgren, and he's at number 2 in their projected draft. They've actually got Jabari Smith of Auburn being their number 1 pick. So not a single Bulldog besides Chet Holmgren in the Ringer's mock draft. The next one, an interesting one, NBA Draft Room. I didn't look at their first round selections because they had a number of great lists in regards to European prospects, under the radar prospects, second round guys. So I apologize. I did not write the note down on where Holmgren would lie, but again, he's not fallen out of the top 3 in my estimation. But the NBA Draft Room site was great to me because they had a good list of second rounders, and they went fairly in depth on some of these second rounders. Strother was not on that second round board. Drew Timme was not on that second round board, but Andrew Nemhart was on the second round board for NBA Draft Room. He was projected as number 53 and going to the Boston Celtics in their mock draft. So that's an interesting one to see. That's actually the first one that I have found with Andrew Nemhart being in a mock draft in either round. Bleacher Report, one of the best and most in-depth sites out there. With their mock draft, they've actually got 3 Zags in their mock draft in their most recent one. They've got Chet Holmgren at 3. They have Julian Strother for the first time I've seen on a draft board at number 59. And they have Drew Timme at number 52 on their draft board. And when you look at where, and Andrew Nemhart is not on that mock draft, but when you look at it, that is the kind of category I would imagine and expect to see Strother and Timme at if they stay in the draft and if they were to get drafted. Those late second round picks is when you start understanding and seeing You know, typically you go for youth and potential, which Strother would fall into that category. Because I would consider Strother a freshman last year because of he didn't play much as a true freshman because he was behind Kispert and Iyayi, and he really didn't get a chance. But as a sophomore, when he really had a chance to play, he shined. He showed a lot of growth, and I think the potential is the word with Strother right now. And then so you can go that route, or you can go the experienced route, kind of your proven player. And that's what I think Drew Timme is in a lot of these NBA evaluators' eyes, is he's a proven low post scorer. And their question mark comes is, can he do it against second unit bigs in the NBA? Could he be a come off the bench, low post presence where we throw him the ball 3-4 times in a hurry, see if he can get something going? If he does, great. We're going to ride with him for a 7-8 minute stretch, to give our front court some breathers. If not, he's going to come out and they're going to go play small ball. So that's kind of the way I see Timme kind of being looked at this time. But Bleacher Report with three zags in their latest mock draft. And the last mock draft that I wanted to take a look at today was USA Today's mock draft. They had Chet Holmgren at number 1. So of the 6 that I looked closely at, 2 of the 6 have Chet Holmgren as your number 1 pick. Julian Strother was not in their mock draft. Neither was Andrew Nemhart, but Drew Timme was at 51. Andrew Nemhart was in the USA Today mock draft at 39, which is the highest that I've seen him. As I mentioned, the first one that I saw him in was the NBA draft room. But Andrew Nemhart at 39 in the USA Today mock draft, and Drew Timme at 51 in the mock draft. Now, with the talent of the teams that Gonzaga plays throughout the year, there's a number of guys that Gonzaga played against throughout the course of the regular season and in the NCAA tournament that are scattered all over the NBA draft board. Jalen Williams from Arkansas, who they played in the Sweet 16, he's all over that late to early second round. J.D. Davison of Alabama, he's the same thing. I've seen him as high as probably 16 and as low as about 40. So that shows you kind of the variables of many of these mock drafts. But again, it's the eye of the beholder for one team. If you catch the eye of one team, and you get drafted in the right position, you've got a chance to really have a lengthy and lucrative and great NBA career. Paolo Banchero, I have not seen him fall below 4 in any mock drafts either. Very similar to Chet Holmgren, has talked about as a big time prospect ever since the day he stepped foot on campus. Mark Williams of Duke, AJ Griffin of Duke, Trevor Keels of Duke, who Gonzaga obviously played early in the season. Those guys are all in every mock draft that I've looked at. A couple surprising ones and a couple unique ones, at least to look at in WCC from a WCC perspective, is Jamari Bouye is turning some heads. He's had a number of pre-draft workouts for individual teams so far. Last I saw, he was getting invited to the G League combo, which is you've got your NBA pre-draft combo and then your G League combo, combine, which is just a slight step below it. Means they want to get a closer look at you, but they probably don't project you as a top 45-ish pick at this moment. But for Bouye to be invited to that, that's a great sign that he is rising up a lot of evaluators' kind of draft boards. But he was in 2 of the 6 mock drafts that I looked at. He was number 39 in the NBA draft.net, and then he was 46 in the USA Today. So pretty cool to see Jamari Bouye, who Gonzaga had some problems with at times because he's such a talented scorer. And another WCC product from Santa Clara, 6'7", 6'8" wing Jalen Williams was actually in USA Today's mock draft at 58. So he just finished another spectacular season. I think he is an NBA player. I think because of him playing in the WCC and not for Gonzaga, that's impacted teams' ability to really kind of judge and gauge what he can do. But I think if he gets in pre-draft workouts, his skill set, his size are going to help separate him a little bit. I would love to see him make it in the NBA, but I'd also love to see him come back, bolster Santa Clara, continue to help the rise and the prominence of the WCC, because he would be probably the favorite to lead the league in scoring next year. Now, in regards to who's going to be the favorite for player of the year in the conference, that's a toss-up. If Drew Timme comes back, he's the obvious choice for player of the year in the conference preseason-wise next year. But lots of good things going on in the world of the NBA mock drafts for WCC players, and in particular, Gonzaga Bulldogs. So for Gonzaga Nation SI on the Gonzaga Nation Media Network, I'm your host, Dan Dickau. Check us out wherever you get your podcast. Like, subscribe, and review. And don't forget to send in your questions for our epic Sports Bar question of the day, where we will release those on Wednesday during the ISO's Mailbag Wednesday episode. So take care. Make it a great day.